Speaker, it's clearer than ever this government doesn't get the seriousness of the grain shipment crisis. We know they're $8 billion short for farmers. They're more than a day late. The Minister's Transport now actually admits this year's crop is not going to get moved before next year's crop. 20 million plus tons on the ground in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta, and yet the Conservatives' new bill failed to increase the amount they were going to move. No extra grain will get moved beyond what the Order in Council said. Failed to increase fines to make sure that farmers would actually get the money. They've wasted a huge opportunity. Will the minister now go back and really get the legislation right this time? You tried once before, failed miserably. Can you get it right this time?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Clearly, this member does not understand what the legislation is setting out to do. Mr. Speaker, the legislation is tasking the railroad companies to move 1 million metric tons of grain a week from the fields, the Western grain farmer fields, to port. That is almost double what it was just a few weeks ago. Mr. Speaker, this member wants to help Western Canadian grain farmers. He should stand up and he should vote in favour of this legislation.
Member for Berthier-Masconanger. Millions of tons of grain will soon be past its best before date, and the minister continues to tell producers to wait. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives don't seem to appreciate the scope of the problem. Grain producers are losing billions of dollars, and our trade partners are losing confidence. Businesses across Canada and Quebec are grappling with shortages of grain. No grain, no bread, no croissants. What are we going to eat for breakfast? Why don't they increase the amount of grain that could be shipped? Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
This legislation obliges the rail companies to move 1 million metric tons of grain a week. That is an ambitious but realistic target. Mr. Speaker, I would ask this member to consult with stakeholders in the West and that are trying to move their grain. For example, I have a quote here from Greg Cherwick, the chairman of Pulse Canada. This fast-tracked approach allows us to focus our efforts to get to work and to immediately put in place the framework that encourages effective agreements that offer more balanced accountability and ultimately more predictable and reliable service. Mr. Speaker, they need to better understand farmers. They need to stand up and support this legislation.